You like that, old man? You want a piece of me?
Do I feel lucky? Well, do you, punk?
Good morning, Vietnam! I love the smell of napalm in the morning.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
I feel the need for speed.
I wish I knew how to quit you.
Love means never having to say you're sorry.
You do? You'll shoot your eye out, kid.
I am.
Welcome, movie fans and movie dorks alike. This is a brand new episode of the Cine-Men movie podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Zach. Welcome to another Toy Tuesday, if you will. I'm here with the one, the only, the other toy in Andy's toy box. Ron, how are you doing, man?
What up, man? What's going on? How's your week been?
It has been good, same old, trying to get to the theater, trying to see everything under the sun, which you may actually beat me on this in this week's episode of recent watches. But overall, man, it's going to be a fun show. We're going to be talking all things Pixar because today we're talking about Toy Story 5, which did very well this weekend at the box office. We'll get into that here shortly. But first and foremost, how are you doing, man? Did you have a good week?
Good week, man. It was a good week. It was a fast-paced week. New things are happening. Good changes are going on. I'm impatient. I can't wait for the results. I want the results today, and it's just not happening.
I get that, man. Let's just say Amazon Prime Day started this week, and I did a few orders, and they say they've been delayed. So it's like, okay, we're going to have an awesome Tuesday. But hey, yeah. We're going to stir the ship today because we're going to be talking some recent watches. We're going to be talking about some box office. We're going to be talking about some Toy Story and what we got for the finale for June next week. So let's get into it. Let's talk a little bit of some movie news and box office talk. Like I said on the outset, Toy Story 5 did very well this weekend. It was the number. Obviously, it took the number one spot, grossing in $327.5 million, which, hey, Pixar is rolling in the dough. Our last week's episode, which if you did not join us, we talked all about Steven Spielberg's Disclosure Day. It just did a little bit of a drop, but good news is, man, it already made its budget back. It's now up to $162.8 million. So, in Spielberg world, I'm sure he's very thrilled with that. And then, man, the little movie that no one thought anything about, Obsession, still in the top 3, man. And it's up to $334.4 million. What do you think about the box office numbers? Are you surprised, shocked? What's your takeaway from it?
So I kind of knew, Toy Story would dominate. I'm kind of glad Disclosure Day is still up there making some kind of money. But I mean, this week so far hasn't surprised me any.
Yeah. I do want to get your thought on this because I was just looking at the times for this weekend because I'm trying to hit a couple things before next week. The Mandalorian. Backrooms. Now, this is just looking at the Regal app. I haven't looked at AMC or anything like that. The Mandalorian and Grogu, Backrooms, and Scary Movie. They're at least in the Regal theaters. They're on their way out. They're just down to 1 or 2 showings a day. What's your takeaway from that?
I mean, it's just the nature of the business now. You're lucky if you're not making $100 million opening weekend, you're lucky to get 3 weeks. I mean, even though Backrooms is Obsession is having the success that it's having, it's already got a streaming date. So, I mean, I just don't see a movie getting 6 months anymore, no matter how much money it's making.
No. I mean, Backrooms, it was made for $10 million and it's almost grossed $300 million. It's the second highest grossing horror movie of the year behind Obsession. So, in my opinion, man, I know, I'm sure we'll talk about it sometime later in the year, but I just felt like that was kind of like a blip where it's just like, that was like the thing to go see. And we just kind of moved on. Like, okay, we saw it. We can go do the next thing.
Yeah.
But And then one little piece of movie news I was very excited about. You sent it to me. Jim Carrey and Ron Howard are in official talks to make a direct sequel to The Grinch. Thoughts, worries? Are we excited? What's your thoughts on it?
It's like just a box of emotions. I'm excited. I'm worried. I'm kind of like discouraged. I don't think we need it. The 2000s Grinch is just so iconic and such a classic that it's just not needed at all. And I don't think it's going to work unless you let Ron Howard build that set like he did once again. I don't think it can be a CGI Christmas land. The sets is what made it like just so grand. The makeup, I don't know if they're going to be able to do that again. So I mean, I don't know. You have lightning in a bottle, and guess what? Lightning doesn't strike twice.
No, I mean, I'm with you to that in that first one is such a classic, regardless of what you think about it. I mean, it's a sentimental certainly for me, it's a sentimental Christmas movie. Jim Carrey said he has already said he's not going to get in the makeup chair for 8 hours a day. I think he said he did say he want to come back to this character, but maybe like in a CGI motion capture way of doing it, which I was listening to another podcast. It's like, maybe if they just put the makeup on his face and then the whole body is CGI, maybe it will be a little bit more believable, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you go the motion capture way, like with Lord of the Rings, I think you have to go that way.
Yeah.
Which is why I don't think it should be done. Just my thoughts.
So, but hey, man, we don't got no official release date, so it may or may not happen. We're still in developmental talk, I guess you could say. I don't even know what the story would be, to be honest. Maybe he goes back to being hating on Christmas. I don't know. They're still ironing out the details, but we'll see. We'll see. Guys, like I said, we're talking about Toy Story 5, so we thought, because we've never talked a Toy Story movie, we thought it'd be very appropriate for top 5 to talk about our 5 or rank the 5 Toy Story films accurately.
Yeah. I'm excited. You want to do that first?
Yeah. You want me to rapid fire? Do you want to rapid fire?
Yeah. I was just going to say I'm going to rapid fire the way I ranked them, and then if you have any questions, we can go from there.
Okay.
I'll start off with 5 and work my way to 1. So at number 5, I have Toy Story 4. At number 4, I have Toy Story 5. At number 3, I have Toy Story 2. At number 2, I have Toy Story 3. And number 1 is Toy Story, the original.
Dude, I don't have any arguments. That's exactly my list. So I think, we'll get into 5 here and shortly, but I think that rank is, that kind of says it all. So yeah, guys, on the outset, we're talking Toy Story 5, had a release date of June the 19th, 2026, starring Tom Hanks, Tim Allen, Joan Cusack, Greta Lee, Conan O'Brien, Tony Hale, Craig Robinson, Annie Potts, Bonnie Hunt, John Ratzenberger, directed by Andrew Stanton. Currently, this film has a 7.6 on IMDb, a 93% on Rotten Tomatoes, with a 73% Metacritic. Buzz, Woody, Jesse, and the rest of the gang come face-to-face with LilyPad, a brand new tablet device that arrives with her own disruptive ideas about what is best for Bonnie. Will playtime ever be the same? Dun, dun, dun. So, yeah. Let's do general thoughts, and then we'll get into more specifics about the movie, spoiler-wise. Let's start with this. Just go through... Give your just general thoughts on the franchise up to this point, and what was your anticipation level for 5?
So the entire franchise, if you want to do like a franchise talk real quick, it would probably be quality. Every film was just so good and so precise on each story. Andy's trilogy. Now we got the start of Bonnie's trilogy. And then, 4 happened, and I'm kind of like, do we really need more? Is more better? Then I started thinking about it. I watched 4 a little bit more, kind of paid a little bit more attention to it. And then I went and saw 5, and I'm like, you know what? The general thought is just fun.
Mm-hmm.
There's great humor behind it. There's continuous thought and heart behind the story. Toy Story 1, so many people were like set up with like, is this Andy's story? Now you got Bonnie's story, and I'm like, I think really what it is at the end of the day, it's the exactly what it says. It's Toy Story, it's Woody's story, it's Buzz's story, it's Bo Peep, it's Jesse, it's their story, and I think the humans are just there. The humans are the ones that evolve and move on and continuously going and going. So I think the last 2 movies have really made the general say, you know what, it's exactly what it is. We need to stop overthinking this, and it's a Toy Story.
Mm-hmm.
It's their story in general. So I think 4 kind of left. I don't know why, because 4 is a good movie. 4 kind of left a little bit of a bitter taste in my mouth. But I think I was on the outside looking in, like trying to figure out, like, oh, I was looking at it from Andy's point of view, like a human's point of view. And like the whole point, you don't need to look at it from a human point of view. It's a toy story. You have to look at it from the toy's perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And I went in and had a complete blast with 5.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm kind of echoing the same thoughts you did. Obviously we both grew up with this franchise, so from day one, the first is really good. Toy Story 2 is definitely some considered an improvement. 3 is by far arguably one of the best trilogies that's ever been made. 4, I rewatched 4 going into this because dude, I'm gonna be honest, I didn't remember anything from 4 other than I just remember an antique store. Literally, that's it about that film. So I rewatched 4 going into 5, and my anticipation for 5 was, I know this is going to be well made. I know, there's going to be a lot of emotional attachment to it, but the question is this going to be necessary, essentially? Yeah. And like you, man, I went into 5 kind of. I really loved the idea of what they were going to do with 5, toys versus tech, which we'll get into here in a minute. But I thought it was a very worthy follow-up to 4, but didn't harm the original trilogy, if that made sense.
This is, if we're talking just trilogies, this would be the Empire to A New Hope.
Yes, basically. And you kind of said it on the outset. The idea, and Andrew Stanton he's been on a press tour talking about the movie. Obviously 1, 2, 3 is definitely Andy's story, and now this is Bonnie's story. So I think you sent me something that we're definitely going to get 6, especially since how well this movie did. Do you think that do you think Bonnie deserves a trilogy? And 2, what would they do with that without, jumping ahead to where she's a teenager like they did in 3 with Andy?
I think the toys deserve another trilogy, and I think you just gotta cap it on what they need to do for Bonnie.
Mm-hmm.
So whether that means continuing on with tech, or maybe a boy gets involved, or maybe another girl gets involved. I don't know where they want to go. What kind of story they want to write, but I think the toys deserve a 6th movie, and I think it doesn't matter which way they go, honestly, and they could knock it out of the park. Does this one become more emotional? Does this one become more teen driven? Does this go towards a more heavier audience, like an adult like audience, or I don't, you could go so many different ways, but I think 6 is a given.
Yeah. I kind of in my own like completist brain, I feel like we need 6 just so we can end whether it is for Bonnie or for the toys. We just need that last chapter for this, at least for the kid point of view. Just like Andy had his 3, Bonnie needs her 3.
I wrote this down earlier. I am surprised, and maybe they'll touch on it later, but I'm surprised we haven't gotten a prequel of what the toys were up to before Andy.
Yeah, maybe like a Woody prequel or something like that.
Just something like that, maybe how the toys met, how Andy ended up getting everybody. I don't know, but you could go so many different ways with these. I this is getting into spoiler, but we'll talk about it later.
No, let's go ahead and get into it. We're 16 minutes in the episode, so spoilers now for Toy Story 5. If you haven't went and seen it, go see it, then come back and join us. What were you going to go into?
So what I was starting off with was, I think it was a brilliant idea with the high-tech buzz. The buzz was high-tech. It's a Wi-Fi driven buzz. It's a drone buzz. And it was so hilarious the way they were throughout the entire film. And it's like, that right there is already innovation to what they're thinking about from next movies to come.
Yeah. So you think they'll have like a AI Wi-Fi driven Woody that maybe he has to come back and fight?
Well, not even that, but like, look how many kids now have those new high-tech buzzes. And, the Buzz character can live on through so many different kids and so many different stories now.
Yeah. And that's something that I really liked, was that, obviously from the outset, from the trailers and the promotional coverage, is that this was going to be about kids getting into tech, iPads, computers, whatever it might be. This one is like more of like you remember those Fisher Price like tablets that we used like way back in the day, before even iPads were a thing, where you could put a CD in and you could do like learning games and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like I knew that was gonna thing, but I totally agree with you. I'm glad that they updated one of the main toys, whether it be Buzz, which is obviously the case, the opening sequence with them on the cargo ship, the cargo box that crashed, and all the little AI Wi-Fi buzzes. They have to go to Star Command, which is, they don't know where Star Command is, but they're going to find it. I thought that was a really cool opening for the movie.
And I even think I had such a fun time with the way this was kind of a way Jesse's story. Jesse has taken over the reins of, I need to be here for Bonnie. Buzz needs to be there for Jesse. Woody is there in the background, as he is the one who can bring everybody together, and he's kind of like the emergency speed dial person. Mm-hmm. So I really enjoyed this one. This one was familiar, but it was also like a breath of fresh air. Yeah. So,
and I felt like this one had a lot more to say than 4. I don't really even, I've seen 4 twice, but I don't really know what the overall message is of 4. 5 is definitely
4. 4 you got to take with a grain of salt, and it's Woody trying to be there for Bonnie the way he was there for Woody, and that's Randy. Him that's the way he was for Andy, and that's him risking life and limb to make sure she is safe and protected with Forky, the fork that she made that makes her just comfortable.
Yeah.
So I mean, I have more appreciation for 4 that I've seen it now, like the 3rd or 4th time, but 5 I think is just going to be, it's just more of a solid film. Jokes, scenes, character development. The way they used the lily pad was fun. The way they thought about unplugging her and wasting her batteries was fun. Conan O'Brien's character,
he was hysterical.
He was very hysterical. Craig Robinson, man, Bad Bunny, everybody that was involved with these new tech toys, and Ernie Hudson being in the outhouse with those toys, that was funny.
I liked how that was like a main like a threat, unknown threat that was going around the neighborhoods of the toys are being discarded out into the yard, but Jesse doesn't know really what's going on. And then they do a giant wide shot of the neighborhood of all the kids on the electronics in the houses. I thought that was really well done. And, yeah, kind of jumping off to another point of Conan O'Brien. I didn't know exactly what his character was going to be, but he had me laughing the entire time he was on screen. He just had so much presence, and knowing just like who Conan is, he fit that character so well.
Yeah, and I think they planted the seeds. The new character who lives on the farm. What is it? Um, the one who has the horses.
Oh, Emily.
Emily. Um, they planted the seeds for Emily to be a main focal point in the next movie with Bonnie.
And I really thought they were going to go there with this.
Yeah, with that house being that house that Jesse grew up on, there's so many more different things that can be explored there.
Yeah.
And you kind of got a little taste of it when she found the lockbox. She didn't really get to go and explore through like she wanted to. So there's some stuff that they can touch on.
Well, and see, to me, when the old couple picks up Jesse and she says, "Oh, here's Emily's address. This is where she belongs." I was like, okay, we're going to bring Emily back because that was such a huge emotional sequence in 2. Let's bring Emily back. Maybe she has a daughter, which, I mean, they allude to with the lunchbox sequence. And maybe, there's something more to this than what I'm not going to say what we got with Blaze is a bad story, because it really isn't, because it was a very much a she's a contemporary to Bonnie, where it's just like, how do they get those two characters together?
That's what I meant. I meant Blaze was going to be a bigger character in 6.
Okay. No,
yeah,
I thought it was going to be Emily.
No. Like Blaze, like Blaze could be such a more of an impact character in 6 because she lives at that house, and that's the house that Jesse grew up on, or Jesse was on,
Mm-hmm.
So
no, I thought I thought where we were going was we were going to bring Emily back, and this is going to be her daughter, and then her daughter is going to be friends with Bonnie by the end of the movie. Which, I mean, they could still play that card. Maybe they're saving that for 6. I always thought that maybe, and I don't really know how they would do this because the Andy story is pretty much done with 3, but maybe Andy comes back and he gets the toys somehow. Maybe Bonnie grows up and she donates the toys to some like Goodwill or something, and Andy and his son sees the toys, and it's kind of a full circle moment where the toys are now Andy's sons or daughters, just somehow like close the loop on everything.
Yeah, that would be fun. I also think that
no, but
I also think that I don't even think you need to mention Andy anymore going forward. Like, I think he did his part. He did his due diligently. I think we can just move on to Bonnie and
her story. Yeah. I just wonder, like, and I want to get your thoughts on this. Is like, we know that Woody is a primary character. Tom Hanks is essential for this franchise. But do you think this movie could have been just as good without Woody?
I think anytime you have a Toy Story movie, I think Woody has to be involved, unless you write him off the right way. I would say no. I even think, I saw Tom Hanks in an interview saying that even once he and Tim Allen are done, that Disney can bring his voice back through AI, and the Toy Story legacy can live on. So unless you do, I don't know, you just have to give him. You have to give him like a Tony Stark type send off.
Toy Story Endgame.
Yeah.
Yeah. That'd be interesting. Let's see. Let's go through some of the stuff. What do you think about Lily Pad as the villain? Like, do you think that was a cool concept of like, this is like the main antagonist for this film, and then she eventually turns by midway through?
Yeah, I think I enjoy the electronics. I'm surprised they didn't do this starting in 2010 with the third one, but I think this is a very good segue into what is coming or what has already came. But I think I enjoyed Lillipad. I also enjoyed the voice actress with it, Greta Lee.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I thought Greta Lee did a good job with the character. I think that I thought it was a great. They depicted the idea of kids bullying each other through these devices perfectly in a way where Bonnie just wants to fit in and have new friends. But I mean, obviously, when she gets the tablet, she's very hooked. She's very like hooked in and doesn't want to get off of it. But she's still held back in the idea. Like she still has that imagination as a kid where she can play with toys, and she still thinks that's okay. While her contemporaries are like, no, why would you? Why are you still playing with toys?
Yeah. But I like how they sprinkled a little bit of real life issues with the tablets, with like cyberbullying, or like you said, playing on the tablet, you lose your imagination. So I like how they did have real life issues that come involved with iPads or tablets.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I liked how at some point during the movie when Woody comes back and there's kind of this, it kind of does the old school fight of like who's really taking care of the kid while Buzz was deputized, but Woody still is one of the stars from one of the Forkies characters. Just put it on himself. I like how they they kind of homage that inner turmoil with those two characters. It's just like, oh yeah, it's still there, but they really they're still going to look out for each other.
Yeah. I gotta say, and I know this is just me nitpicking, but I do not enjoy the whole each toy falling in love, the Buzz, the Woody, or the Buzz and the Jesse proposal, falling in love, having feelings for each other. I don't appreciate that, and I don't think that's humorous, because then you kind of look at like, okay, are these guys like Chucky dolls then? Do they have a soul, or is their soul trapped into the toy? That's just where my mind started thinking and just wondering.
Yeah.
So that's just me probably nitpicking. But I do have a rant.
Okay.
And this is going to be towards the movie theater itself. But this is not the first time this has happened to me. You might remember the story way back when. So I think it was you who told me that Toy Story has 2 post-credit scenes.
Mm-hmm.
And, the first one comes on. I'm like, oh, okay, I kind of can't wait for the second one. This is kind of the first time they've kind of done this. I'm kind of excited. Right after the first post-credit scene was over, the theater cleaner, whoever was going to sweep and, take care of the theater right after that movie, turned the lights on and said, guys, no need to wait. You don't have to wait. There's not really a post-credit scene. It's more just like an extra spoof, if you will. It has nothing to do with the movie. It's nothing.
Yeah.
And pretty much told us it didn't mean anything. We can go ahead and go throughout our night and go throughout our day, so they can get a head start on cleaning up. And it kind of rubbed me the wrong way. I'm like, we as the general public, we spend money to come out to these theaters, and if we want to watch the entire final credit, that's all right as a moviegoer because we paid to see it.
Yeah.
So that kind of rubbed me the wrong way. I don't know if I'm being like a little too lowballish or what, but if you guys have any thoughts on that, let us know in the comments. Let us know, messaging us or on social media or whatever. But kind of rubbed me the wrong way. I'm like, what if I wanted to stay and watch it anyway? Now you kind of just ruined it for me anyway.
Yeah. I mean,
So,
did you actually stay? I just saw the first post credit scene and then I left. What was at the very end?
I didn't stay after she did that. It kind of rubbed me the wrong way. I'm like, I'm just leaving.
Someone on YouTube filmed the ending, just like the very end credits, and they put Buzz, Woody, Buzz, and Jesse will return in Avengers Doomsday. I was like, that's a great bit.
Yeah.
No, man, it's I'm surprised. I mean, obviously, this movie did very well. Obviously,
312 million globally.
yes, on a $250 million budget. You sent that to me. I was like, "There's no way that's real," and I had to double check that. I was just like, "Is it Tom Hanks' salary that cost that much?"
It's probably all the extra stuff they had to pay Taylor Swift.
Well, and let's get into that. You say what you will about it. This was brilliant marketing because not only do you have the millennials like us that grew up with these films, but now you have the Swiftie crowd that just wants to go because they want to hear the song at the end of the movie. So I mean, say what you will. I mean, that's great. That's a great business strategy.
Yeah, and then at the end of the day, it's all Disney and Pixar. They don't care about the story. They don't care about the fans. They don't care about the kids. They care about that bottom dollar at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And I read something where it usually takes like 7-8 years for Disney Pixar to complete a project. I think it took them 5.5 years to complete this project. So they pushed this one out as fast as they could without taking their time on it. But I mean, for them rushing it out, it was pretty good.
Yeah, because I'm looking at it right here. I'm just looking at the timeline because there was a 4-year gap between 1 and 2. We had a 11-year gap with 2 and 3, a 9-year gap between 3 and 4, and then, like you said, a 5-year gap between 4 and 5. And so that's, and then, say what you will, we did have that Lightyear movie that came out in between 4 and 5, which
is that Pixar?
That is Pixar, yeah. Dude, in the pantheon of Pixar films, I forget that movie even exists. I'm gonna be honest.
It's not bad.
It's not bad, but it's just like I still don't understand what the point of that was. 4 years later.
Yeah. So
other than the theater experience, was there any other in the potential Chucky love interest type thing that you mentioned? Was there any other nitpicks or gripes that you had about the movie?
No, I mean, at the end of the day, it's a kids' animated feature film. They crossed their T's and they dotted their I's where they needed to. It was funny. It hit emotionally. It was smart. Like, is this going to be a 5-star classic? No. But at the end of the day, it's a Toy Story film. So you go for the family excitement. You go for the theater experience. You for the laughs, the joys and stuff like that. So, I mean, It's not the best Toy Story, but it's definitely it's definitely a good watch.
Yeah, and I mean, and here's the thing, I mean, this isn't like I'm probably gonna catch some flack for this, but this isn't like the Cars franchise where it's just kind of kid dumb entertainment. I feel like there is emotional weight when you watch the Toy Story film, whether it's the first one or the third one or even 4 to a certain extent. They put their time and effort into it, and as long as I'm not sitting here twisting my fingers like, oh, like when is this movie going to be over? I'm not checking the time on my phone when this is over. I just want to go in and have a good time, and I think that's what these movies are.
Yeah, that's exactly what this one was. And this doesn't need to have a theater, cinephile breakdown. It's not anything like that. It's not going to be a lengthy episode or anything like that. But it's just one of those, we're here to do the job, and Pixar did it. And guess what? I'll be in line for 6.
Yep.
So,
and I guess on that note, did you like the character of Blaze?
That's the girl, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was needed. I think the friendship needed to be thrown in there, and I think a tag team partner, if you will, needed to be in that story because and you never saw Andy mingle with another kid. So I think this was a step in the right direction. So yes.
Nice. Well, and I do like the idea that the very end of the film is, her and Blaze really bonding over the toys, and the other neighborhood kids kind of catching on to that, and they still like, oh, what you doing? And they came over there. Maybe that's the 6th one. Maybe Blaze has like a crew, and they I don't know. I guess let's do some. I get if you want to do some fantasy booking. What would you want to see Six tackle in that matter?
Man, it's kind of hard just coming off the phase of 5, but I think I would want to see, me personally, I want to see the toys move on and just maybe not move on, but maybe be like, this is so hard to put. But if you're going to end Bonnie's trilogy, I would end it with, her framing or putting the toys up on her wall like Blaze did with the horses. They're
Like,
gonna be they're gonna be there always for her. They're gonna be displayed, and no matter how old she gets, it's something that she's gonna take with her forever.
I like that.
Yeah.
Pixar, if you're listening, if you want to use our ideas, well, we won't copyright or nothing. I really like that idea of like that's the last shot of the movie is just them just in their poses where they kind of just sit there together.
Yeah,
that would be a perfect ending for 6. And then we never do this again, and we move on to something else. Yeah. Did you like the idea of Lily Pad kind of like quote unquote sacrificing herself because she was like pushing Bonnie too hard to try to make friends?
Yeah, she had already she counted her chickens before they hatched. She knew that she had done something she wasn't supposed to, and she was like, and this movie had a lot of my life is over sacrifice like scenes. I kind of wish stuff like that didn't happen in Disney Pixar kids films, like when Jessie was just done and she threw herself out the window. And then Bullseye kind of did the same thing to follow her. I'm like, it's a kids movie, we don't really need that.
Yeah.
So same thing with the lily pad, like it was okay, but I don't think it was needed.
I mean, I thought that when it's revealed that Bonnie is being like cyberbullied by the other girls, I mean that's
fine. Yeah.
I mean that was very like my mom audibly gasped, was like, oh, just like, and the worst thing about it is, man, like, that goes on all the time. Kids could be brutal, and it's, if you're not in with what the popular thing is, then you're outcast, and it's just hard to claw your way back.
Yeah, well, it goes on like even in the workplace once you get older.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I guess my only final note is, did you like the Taylor Swift song, just given all the hype about it?
No.
Man, we just lost like 10% of our audience right there, man.
Yeah, no. I mean, yeah, that's another thing. Like, you're sticking with original fans and like people that grew up with it. There was no updated version of maybe You Got a Friend in Me or something that kind of fit that tune. You brought something completely different, and which I guess you got to update with the times, but it was all right.
But You've Got a I was thinking about that. Other than 2, every single one of the films open up with You've Got a Friend in Me, and it's just it was so jarring not to have that. I mean, that's probably my biggest complaint about it.
Yeah.
I get, we got to appease the young audiences and, get the Swiftie money, but it's just like, but that's like You've Got a Friend in Me is such a like sentimental part of Toy Story. It would be like having no Tim Allen and someone else voicing Buzz, just doesn't make any sense.
Ryan Gosling.
I'm not gonna lie. I'd be kind of I wouldn't be opposed for that. So
yeah.
All right, guys. I mean, I don't have any more notes on this. Do you have a favorite scene or something that stuck out to you for the film?
Yeah, if I had to pick like just a favorite scene, I think one of it would be when Woody shows up in the poncho, takes his hat off, and shows his age, and then he looks around Bonnie's room, and then they go off to start their next adventure. That's a good scene for me.
Nice. I'm gonna go with the lunchbox scene. I mean, that was very, each one of these Pixar movies, we got to have some kind of emotional terrorism type, make you pull at your heartstrings type film or scene. And I think definitely kind of sowing the seeds for like we had that emotional sequence with 2. Let's bookend it with this scene, I thought was really well done. Woody and his, the walkie-talkie, like he just had him on speed dial. I thought that was kind of a cool concept. And then I don't know why the cargo container of Buzz I thought was a great bit, and we had a good payoff by the end of the movie.
Yeah.
So yeah, guys, go check out Toy Story 5. Star rating. I'm gonna give it a 4, man. I think it's really well done. I think it's better than 4. It's still, it's not gonna break the top of the trilogy with the first 3, but it's definitely worthy. I know there have been some criticism of the justification for this film, but you know what? Like I said, if Pixar does it right, they had one of the original directors from the crew of Pixar come back and do this, so you can definitely tell the love was still there to make this film. So it's great to see Buzz and Woody and the gang. So I'll give it a 4. What about you, man?
I'm gonna give it a 3.5. Like everything you said. And for the people that continue to sit there and bash and be like, why do they have to continue to make more? It's a Toy Story film. It's a kid's film. Go enjoy yourself. Don't worry about if you're going to see an Oscar-worthy performance, or don't worry if you're going to see, outstanding editing or sound. Like, just go and have a good time. Laugh. That's what I did. My kids around me had a good time. Everybody laughed. Who's your favorite Toy Story character?
I told you Woody.
Woody. So, yeah, at the end of the day, that's what it's about.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure this will get nominated for best animated film like next year for the Oscars. So, I mean, unless there's something that blows it out of the water between now and then, I'm sure it's going to win.
But even if it doesn't, it's lived up to the hype. It's a good film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Before we talk about next week's episode, I totally forgot. I'm such a bad host. Recent watches, recommendations. Is there anything you just want to quickly talk about before we get out of here?
We can save most of those for next week. I am on a 90s trope right now. I'm going down the 90s rabbit hole, whether it be Kevin Smith or comedy romance movies. So right now I've kind of just been on a 90s kick, and I think we'll go into detail with recent watches next week.
Okay. Sounds good. I had a couple things to talk about, but we'll save them. I'm sure both of us will go see Supergirl next week, so we'll talk about that as well. So,
oh yeah.
All right, guys. So next week, the last episode of June. Can you believe it, man?
It's crazy, man. This week has flown by. We're not doing a top 5 next week. We're saving it for the first week of July. But man, July's top 5. We're talking our top 5 favorite 2026 movies so far. But next week, Zach, what are we doing next week?
Next week, we go back to my favorite topic, Spielberg. We're talking about Catch Me If You Can, man. Leonardo DiCaprio. I guess we're doing 2 Tom Hanks movies back to back, so that's kind of cool. The movie is currently streaming on Hulu, so if you need to rewatch it for the episode, definitely check that out. And then I'll just for the time being, July the 7th, right after July 4th, celebrating 250 years of America. We're talking The Patriot, which I think is streaming on Tubi. And then I guess we've decided that July is going to be combat and warfare month. So we got The Patriot, July 7th, Warfare, July 14th, which is streaming on HBO Max. We go back to the theater for The Odyssey on July 21st. And we end the month of July with The Deer Hunter. Best Picture winner, The Deer Hunter. So it's going to be an action-packed month of July. A lot of warfare and combat talk, but it's going to be fun. So any last thoughts on Toy Story 5 before we head to Catch Me If You Can?
No, and for everybody out there listening, the original way out there is listening in podcast land. Technical difficulties. This episode and next week's episode will not be on Spotify right away. There will be a 2-week gap, but watch these brand new episodes on Facebook Live and listen to them on Spotify or wherever you listen to podcasts at in 2 weeks. Technical difficulties.
It's hard economy, folks. Hard economy. So
yeah.
That's it for us, guys. We'll be back next week for Catch Me If You Can, streaming on Hulu. Until then, we will be back with a brand new episode of the Cine-Men Movie Podcast.